I expected the Green Bay Packers to be a great team this season, but even I couldn't expect a start like this. Two straight wins to open up the year against the Detroit Lions and the Washington Commanders. That's some pretty tough competition. On one hand, the Detroit Lions, they were the top seed in the NFC last year, and the Commanders, they went all the way to the NFC Championship game. And it wasn't like either team was expecting a collapse where they're nowhere near as good as they were a season ago. The Detroit Lions, of course, lost Ben Johnson, but there's still a lot of talent to that roster. There's still Dan Campbell at the head coaching spot. And for the Commanders, you only project them getting better. With rookie star Jane Daniels entering his second year, and with that new experience, new adjustment to the NFL style of play and pace, you only expect him to get better as well. So that is some really tough competition to go out and beat in your first two games. But the Green Bay Packers did just that. It's been quite the opener to the season for them. In both those games, it felt like they were pretty in control. So, what's making the Packers so good so early? And I think it's got to start with quarterback Jordan Love. He had a great game last night against the Commanders. And what's especially impressive about Jordan Love this year is the way that he's been incredible, elite under when he's not under pressure. Because when you have a clean pocket for Jordan Love, his efficiency has been through the roof. And when that's the case, that means everything's clicking. There is obviously the other side to that in which you love an improviser, someone that can make a play when he's under pressure, when things are breaking down. But right now, in this context, you just need Jordan Love to execute when the pocket is clean. And that's precisely what he's doing. He's executing at a level among the best in the world right now. And that's so impressive. I love the composure I'm seeing from him. And this is kind of what I expected to see from Jordan Love last year, but it took another year. And as for the third season, though, he looks incredible. Jordan Love is somebody who I've been high on for his talent and his potential for a while now. But when it comes to being a successful quarterback, talent is one side of the coin, and the other is your experience and your knowledge. Because ever since he was a starter, his talent, his ceiling has been on display, what he has the ability to be. But he had to match that with the knowledge. And I think over these last 2 years, he's gained a lot of experience. He knows a lot better what to do, what he shouldn't do. And most importantly, he knows when to trust his arm and when to play it more safe. Because in his first year starting, that first half of it at least, and especially his second year playing, it felt like there were times where he trusted his arm just a little bit too much. But then there would be the other side of the coin there where it would seem like he would lose confidence in that arm because maybe he threw an interception and he would play it really safe. But now I think we're getting a nice balance. He's taking the deep shots at times. He's also just playing more safely, more efficiently. Jordan Love looks more composed than ever. I think he was great to open up this season. Then we get to the players around him, and this is such a young team. And that has been very widely publicized from the wide receivers to even the defense now. And I think that's playing a big, big factor in the Packers' early success. Because when you've got a young team, you have a lot of guys that are developing simultaneously. They're developing alongside one another. And they're continually growing as players. And as a result, it's not just an individual that gets better, it's the entire offensive unit, or your entire defensive unit that gets better. And not only do they get better playing alongside one another. They develop a kind of chemistry that you don't see among many teams in the league because you don't have to train that chemistry. It just comes natural. They've been playing with these guys, they've been developing with these guys for years. So they've already got that chemistry on lock. It just comes naturally to them. You don't have to train it, it just happens by the experience they have together. And so I think that's a big, big part of their development. It's not only the fact that as a young team they're going to get better, but they're getting better together. And you're seeing them as a united front. There are a couple players I want to point out here, but especially Tucker Kraft. He had an incredible game last night against the Commanders. One of the best games we've seen from tight end in quite a while. And at 24 years old, you only expect him to get better. So to have a game like this early on in the season, that could be an indicator of a big, big year to come. But the thing about Tucker Kraft, he's not doing it alone. He's been learning alongside Jordan Love. He's been learning alongside their wide receiver core. And so they all manage to mesh and work well together as a combined unit. And that creates major, major production and success for a guy like Tucker Kraft. But on another night, that could be Jaden Reed. And he just got injured. You hate to see that. I hope he gets better and recovers well. But on any given night, there's a lot of guys you could trust because they've been learning together. They've all got a lot of talent to them, and they're still very young. They've got a lot of potential that they're yet to tap into, a big ceiling that they are yet to reach. Speaking of receivers, the Packers, of course, drafted Matthew Golden in the first round of this past year's draft. And for Golden, his production these first two games has not lit the world on fire, not one bit. However, what I saw from him in this game, especially a deep ball that just didn't connect between him and Love, was that he's already opening up the field for the Packers. This is somebody that, as a first round pick, the Packers obviously invested a lot of stock into, and I think you're seeing his impact, even if the stats aren't there yet. They're not matching what he's doing on the field because he's opening up this field. He's opening up deep play opportunities for the Packers. They just haven't quite hit them yet. And that's so important. You talked about earlier the prior explosivity of Jordan Love. It's important to have somebody like Matthew Golden to be able for Love to balance that efficiency with the explosivity. And I think Golden is a perfect fit in this offense for that. We're yet to see that come to fruition in terms of his production, but I think we're already seeing some of his impact, and that's only going to get greater, whether it's as we progress in his rookie year or seasons beyond this. Of course, another focal point of this offense is Josh Jacobs. And the yards per carry this year so far have not been great, but I still believe that Josh Jacobs has quite a bit left in the tank. You think back to last year. This is somebody who, of course, on a second team, and as a running back in the NFL, when you're on your second team in the modern league, that's usually somewhat of a death sentence. You're going there not to rejuvenate your career, not to continue playing at a high level, but to kind of ride out coast the final few years of your career. I don't like that, but that is kind of the perception of the modern running back, their lifespan, their timeline. Teams just don't place a lot of trust in them when they go to their second spot because that running back position, you were getting a lot of carries early on. You were getting a lot of contact, and people expect that to wear down your body. But Josh Jacobs, his first year as a Packer, he looked really, really good. And alongside Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry, who was part of a group of running backs that were on new teams, but they looked just as good as ever. And they kind of redefined that running back position, the modern narrative of it, in which they were on new teams, but they still looked incredible. Saquon Barkley, of course, 2,000 yards. Derrick Henry, 1,900 yards. First time ever running back has had that kind of number and not been the leading rusher. But that's only because Saquon was so good. And right behind them, as one of the best running backs in the league, was Josh Jacobs. I think he's yet to hit his groove this year, but I believe that that is coming. And based off what we saw from him last year, I have no reason to believe that that's not coming. And then we get to the defensive side of the ball. Because for all the talk the Packers offense gets, and rightfully so, I believe that the offense has the potential to be a very high level unit, one of the best in the league. Their defense has the ability to be pretty good as well. And they, especially in that first quarter, really made Washington look uncomfortable in this game. I believe the Commanders had 11 yards in that first quarter and only one first down. It was not pretty for them early on. And this Packers defense looked incredible in doing so. And I think that's especially impressive because this Commanders offense is pretty dynamic, led by, of course, Jordan Love. He's a dual threat quarterback. So when the pass isn't open, you've always got to look out for that run threat. But they were able to minimize the impact of Jane Daniels as well. 7 carries, 17 yards. He couldn't get much going on the ground either all game. And so to be able to stop that on both fronts, because Daniels, for as good a rusher as he is, he's a very accurate passer as well, as we saw in his rookie year. But he looked uncomfortable on both fronts, and that's because of this Packers defense. They played very, very well. And of course, you can't talk about this Packers defense without talking about the addition of superstar Micah Parsons. When Parsons was initially traded, I feel like a lot of the narrative, and I was part of this too, was more so what are the Dallas Cowboys doing, as opposed to what a steal the Packers got. Now, of course, that was part of the equation, but most of the narrative, I feel like, was focused on the fact that Dallas had somehow lost Micah Parsons. And this wasn't long after they had lost Luka Doncic over in the NBA. So it was a whole lot of what's going on in Dallas right now. But the Packers, what a great addition for them. Micah Parsons, to be able to add a generational kind of talent like that, that's a superstar that's going to elevate your defense to new heights. Much like the Packers had a young offense, they also have a very young defense that has shown potential and is only going to get better with time. But to add in Micah Parsons, who is both young and a superstar, that both accelerates your timeline right now to make you immediately great, but also helps you out in the long run. It's not a rental. This is somebody you can expect to be here, expect to be impactful for a long time. And so I think the addition of Micah Parsons, that just takes this defense to a whole new level, especially on third downs early. I think he was really playing a big role, and this Packers defense looked incredible. They really made the Commanders look uncomfortable. That's such a dynamic offense to be able to shut that down. That is huge. That's a testament to how great your defense is. The Packers looked incredible on both fronts. And then we get, of course, my last part here is the head coach. And I firmly believe in Matt LaFleur as a great head coach in this league. Of course, coming from the Sean McVay coaching tree, Sean McVay is a modern NFL genius. I firmly believe in him as a great one of the elite head coaches of this modern era. And to come from that coaching tree, the kind of knowledge, the expertise that you can gain, it's one thing to absorb that like a sponge. It's another to execute that and apply it to your own coaching. And that's precisely what Fleur's done. He looks like a great head coach. And it's been that way for years now. I've had a lot of trust in him. And now, when he's got this great offense and he's got this great defense, they're 2-0 for a reason. It's one thing to have all that talent on both ends, but Matt LaFleur, he's really making sure that they're executing on both fronts. And overall, this Packers team looks like a complete unit on both sides of the field. They look incredible early on, 2-0 to start the year against some very tough competition in the Detroit Lions and the Washington Commanders. They're not playing around. They look like one of the best teams in the NFC, and I think at this rate, they could be one of the best teams in the NFC when it's all said and done. Are they going to win the Super Bowl this year? That's very early to make a prediction. But right now, they look like one of the best teams in the league. And early on, when you have a start like this, there's a question of the sustainability of it. Is it a fluke early on, or can they maintain this kind of success? And I think it's pretty sustainable. You have the young team. You have Jordan Love, who's only getting better with that experience that he's got now. You, of course, have Micah Parsons, who's only going to get better as he gets more comfortable in this defense. And, of course, the united offense and defense that is only growing together because they're so young and they're still developing. This team is only going to get better. So I think this early success is very much sustainable, and the Green Bay Packers look incredible to start this year.